Hey there! Welcome to Supercharged Fridays. It is Friday, duh. This is week 62 of being live. I hope everybody is as well and safe as can be, considering the times we're in. If you guys are watching us, drop in the comments and say hello so we know you're there because we don't know you're watching. It's like we're looking at ourselves and it's weird. So we're here for you. We're here for you. Ask us anything related to job search careers. As you can see, I have a guest with me today. Tegan is actually someone I met on LinkedIn and is a friend. She's bright and early in Chicago. This is 7 in the morning for her. So if you guys are watching, drop in the comments, give her a little welcome applause. And Tegan, it's great to have you this side of Supercharged Fridays.
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. It's great to be here. So it's great to be here. It's great to have you here. So if you guys are watching, come in and ask us your questions, actually, because we are here for you about all things job search and careers. And I'll give you guys a minute to put in your questions. We're going to be live, maybe, I think, something like 30 to 40 minutes. So this would be a great time to ask. And so while people do that and get settled in, Tegan, so for those who may not be familiar with you or your work, tell us a little bit about your backstory that can help us understand you a little bit better up till your journey today.
Well, good morning or afternoon or evening, depending on what side of the planet you are on. I am Tegan Bartos. I am the founder of Jolt Your Career, a career coaching business, and that is how I became a fan of Supercharged Fridays. So I started off my career with the Department of Labor. I was a career coach and eventually transitioned from a youth program to a reduction force program. So anytime an organization does a massive layoff in the United States, the government requires the organization to provide outplacement services. So resume writing, interview coaching, grant writing for individuals to go and get to continuing certifications. So I managed that and then eventually left the Department of Labor to try recruiting for a little bit. And it was just not my thing. I wanted to be able to help job seekers articulate themselves in the best way possible, because sometimes the best person doesn't get the role, and it's because they can't effectively articulate themselves or package themselves in a way that represents what value they can truly bring. So I founded Jolt Your Career, and I've been doing that for about 6 years now. So yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Awesome. I love the fact that you've lived through because people have this impression of hiring and recruiting and it sounds lovely, but very few people think about the other side, which is the ending of the contracts and all the emotions actually that come along with it, right? And you're that person who helped companies and also individuals to make sure that the ending is as smooth as possible, and then help them write a new chapter. Because
Yes.
that's what it's about. So another thing I want to highlight that you said, if you have two exact products on a shelf, they do the exact same thing and they make the exact same promise. The one that gets bought is the one that had slightly better packaging. I'm sure we have research to prove it. And it's exactly the same with us. We are products. It sounds a bit, but we are, right? We are products. We have a service, and the packaging, which is your resume, your LinkedIn, your interview style, how you follow up, how you communicate, all that makes a difference. And that's what Tegan says she does with her company, and that's what I do, and that's what a lot of coaches ideally should be doing as well, to ensure that you put your best foot forward. So if you are not familiar with Tegan's work, I highly suggest you follow her on LinkedIn, Tegan Bartos, and her firm is Jolt Your Career today. JoltYourCareer.today. So fantastic. And I want to welcome everyone. We have folks joining us from all parts of the world. It's lovely to have you. And I see that Biswajit, you already have a question, and I'll get to you in a second. And I'm going to start with a question. Tegan, sometimes I get questions on email, because certain people don't. Hopefully everyone knows this. If you're asking a question, just be clear that it's going to be showing in your activity profile. I've mentioned it many times. And if it's something confidential and you don't want your company to see it, you're most welcome to come and join us on YouTube, live on YouTube, because your name, you can choose your name to be different. It doesn't have to be your first name, last name.
Yeah.
So, Tegan, I have a question that I received the other day from someone who's very happy with a role that he's been approached for. But the middleman, the person who introduced the role to him, he doesn't feel, he's not feeling it, right? And at the same time, that person is representing him to this dream company, dream job, etc. What would be your advice for him to approach this?
Yeah, that's a tricky one, because when a recruiter, when an agency recruiter is representing you to an organization, if they're the ones who found you, they're in a clause with that organization that company can't cut the middleman out.
No.
And so if you are interested in that position, some things to keep in mind would be, is it attempt to perm? Is it a permanent role? And really decide how you feel. What's giving you these vibes? If it is a permanent position and he did find the role for you or did the matchmaking, then just move forward. If it's a temp to perm situation and something is giving you a feeling that something might be off, then ask those probing questions. Make sure your boundaries are clear and your expectations are clear, and make sure everything is in writing. At the end of the day, agency recruiting, when it's temp to perm, they don't have to guarantee you a role. And so if you're getting a vibe, well, maybe this is just going to be a short-term contract and not really land anything at the end of it, just ask the recruiter to be transparent with you. That would be my advice. What would you say?
Tegan, what if it's a permanent role?
If it's a permanent role, then go for it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the middleman is only going to be a middleman until the signature is signed, and then you don't have to deal with them again.
I agree. I agree. I think they're not. Don't have this thing that they're going to be your best friends, right? This is a transaction. They know which side their bread is buttered. You're not the one who's making that commission for them. They are doing it with the client side. However, you are your own person. So you don't represent the recruiter. It's the other way around. And if the recruiter is doing anything to misrepresent you, make sure that's clarified in a very professional way. If you get the job, great. Chances are you're not going to see them again. If you don't get the job, no problem. Chances are you will not see them again.
Yeah, exactly.
Not getting in bed, you're not getting married, so it's not a problem. Good, that's great. I'm glad you answered that, because I can understand it can make us a little bit uncomfortable. And I want to say a quick shout out to people who've been on Supercharge in the past. G is in Texas. Good morning. And I saw Niatu in New York, and he was on last week with a smashing session on how to talk about, exactly, and how to talk about your accomplishments without sounding icky or like a douchebag or a total like mouse, because it makes you uncomfortable. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend you check it out on last week's Supercharged Fridays. And cool. So we have another question, and this I saw came in a few minutes ago. Biswajit, where are you? I'm gonna find you. Okay. How does HR look at work integrated courses like the ones from Upgrad, LinkedIn courses, BITS? I'm not familiar with BITS, but what do you think, Tegan? How are courses viewed by in-house recruiters?
Great question. I think it's always nice to, as a recruiter, if you've been on a layoff, the hiring manager is going to say, well, what have they been doing since they're laid off? It always happens. And I think it just stems from our culture and some biases being built in there, because it's really none of their business. But if you take courses, it sounds a lot better than other alternatives. And so I don't think it's going to be something that will get you the job, but I think it's something that will help you. It will help prevent you from not getting the job.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that Biswajit, uh, don't overthink it, because I think there's small talk that happens during interviews, and I think one of the small talk is that Tegan said, "So what have you been doing since you lost your job?" I'm not sure they're listening to every word of your answer, because we all know what's happened since February, March 2020. And they just want to make sure you're not a total like sociopath, right? Or you're got any addiction problems, or, too much Netflix or too much binge watching or whatever. They want to make sure you're coming across putting your best foot forward, you're a healthy person. And sometimes it's just small talk. So if it's small talk, don't overthink it, just give it your best answer. If you've been, what have you been doing? Does it help you stand out a little bit? Yeah. Yeah. If you're interested in data analytics and the courses are on photography, yeah, like you said, if it's related to your work, it's a bit more interesting and it helps you stand out. So awesome. Cool. And there I saw another question. We have folks joining from around the world, Tegan. So this is awesome. You're taking out
I
time from
see
your
it.
Friday. You're taking out time from your Friday. I swear, there's people from like Far East to Africa. I think I'm so happy to see someone from Kenya who's in the comments. I've never seen Kenya. Hi, Jyoti. And then I have a private person who chooses for, oh no, I missed somebody who came before that. Kashish. Hi, Kashish. So I hope I didn't miss anything before that. No, I did. I'm a little bit here and there. So I want to make sure people are I answer them in the right order. Yaduru. What is the best way to answer why you leaving your company? Simple answer. Tegan, what do you think?
So,
not so simple.
I think that sometimes honesty is the best policy, but sometimes you want to keep negativity out of it. So if you're leaving an organization because it's a toxic work environment, it could raise some red flags about you, regardless if it's true or not. So a great way to answer that question is saying, based on my career goals, I would like to have opportunities to do X, Y, and Z. That's not currently available at my current company. And so when I saw this opportunity, it's exactly the direction that I want to go in my career, and kind of explain it that way. Keep it positive, and talk about your opportunities in a way that is appealing to the role that you're applying to. The more specific that you can be in how it relates, briefly, I think is a good sell.
Yeah. I think, Yaduru, like Tegan said, there's something called too much honesty. You hear a lot on the LinkedIn these days is flooded with this word authentic. Bring your whole authentic self to work. I hear this all the time, and I can tell you, Tegan, this is one of the things that makes me allergic. If my authentic self is have 3 sets of peanuts, 3 sets of types of peanut bags next to me, and I chew them all the time in a shared workspace, and I take a shower every 4 days. I'm authentic. I'm bringing my authentic self to work. I don't want your authentic self to work. So let's not kid ourselves, right? This is a bit of a performance. And the same goes for interviews. There's a performance. It's like a stage. It's on theater. Of course, you put your best foot forward. So be honest, but at the same time, if you hated your boss, you're not going to say that. So
no.
There's red flags in there. So obviously answer that honestly, but be prepared. Practice with someone. Is this acceptable? Does it make me sound okay? Or, is there an issue? So hopefully that helps you, Yuduru. Spend quite some time on your question because it's an important question. We get this a lot. And now Kashish says, he's calling you T. Is it good practice to accept a counter offer from your current organization? Are there chances that you might get laid off later on? I don't know about the second part. Thanks to your salary, you got a 90% increase. Oh, congratulations. That's fantastic. But is it okay to accept a counter offer from your current organization? Are there chances for you to be laid off later on? I don't think the second is related to the first, but what do you think, Tegan, about this?
So there's a reason why you want to leave an organization. And there's a reason why data shows that you're more valuable when you go to a new organization than staying with your old organization. I've got to find it. I'll post it in the comments later.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think it was like the Harvard Review or something like that.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
people who stay at their organization oftentimes make 50% less than people who make a move into a new organization. And it's because you get pigeonholed into certain salary brackets, or, you know, there's different kinds of politics going on that prevent you from moving up into certain roles or being able to expand your scope in a way that you're interested in doing so. So if you truly enjoy your organization, your team, then accept it.
Yeah.
But if there was red flags that had you looking elsewhere, then you have to stay true to that, because those things that made you look in the first place aren't going to go away.
Yes.
Now, if it was just a matter of the organization being in a position where, you know, they couldn't bring you in at the comp that they needed, but you believed in them, and now they're able to make it right, well, then all is right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's a red flag, listen.
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. I'm going to give a really heavy answer to this, and I don't think anyone's going to like it. But before I do that, I want to take a light moment and say hi to our friend in Chicago, Erica and Jeanette. It's 5 a.m. for you. I'm extremely impressed. Either you're up early or you went to bed late. Whatever it is, I don't want to know, my friend. So the thing is, I think, was it Kashish? The name? Let's see. Yeah. For me, this is the equivalent of finding out your partner's cheating on you. Are you going to take them back? There is no right answer. There is no wrong answer. It worked out for Hillary Clinton, okay? The point is, the trust is not there. After it's done, there is a crack on the vase, you know? So, for me as HR, if you're decided you want to leave and we make a counter offer, it's as your manager, for example, it's always going to be in the head. So personally, I feel like if you've made up your mind, move on. But nobody can tell you what to do. I think this is your choice that you have to make. It's very personal, just like the example I gave earlier. So, okay, understood. Fabulous. So Tegan, I'm feeling a bit stuck in my career. I'm not moving ahead in terms of position and compensation. I'm selling IT products and services, B2B, been in sales for 12 years. What do I do?
Well, what do you want to do? I mean, you have to figure that out. I recently did this with my husband. I get coaching clients all the time where I'm doing this, and I do quarterly check-ins with myself. And so a great question is to start off with is, what do you want to accomplish in the next 30 days? That may be answering, where do you see yourself going? And then take a deep dive into your soul and figure out what is currently driving you. What are you currently motivated by? What are your values right now? Where are you at in your headspace? And what opportunities are there to get to where you want to be going? Yeah. So if it's a matter of you wanting to climb up the ladder, sales people fascinate me. Oftentimes sales personalities are driven by numbers, by competition. Yeah. And so if you move up the ladder and then are managing people and don't have that competitive drive to hit bonuses, and it's more of you mentoring others, you may find that is not in your wheelhouse and you don't actually want to do that. And so I think you should do some soul searching and figure out if is moving up, meaning leading others, and is that truly what you want to be doing, or are you more driven by the competition and that go-getter spirit oftentimes sales has, and
yeah,
maybe
that's good. That's good.
Going on.
Yeah, I love the Friday check-ins as well. Gee, that's a great idea. And it's almost equivalent to asking, hey, you're asking two strangers here, hey, what do I want? We can't answer that for you, right? But I can give also one recommendation along with what Tegan said. When I feel down, which, let's face it, in times of less social interaction is happening more frequently, one way to take care of it and kick that empty feeling in the face is to turn the attention and turn the focus away from you and do some sort of volunteer work which makes you happy. It can be with a company, a non-profit, it can be with anything, it can be virtual, but it's giving you joy. I feel like that helps to discover undiscovered passions. And you never know, it might help you to pivot and do something completely different. It can't hurt to try. So awesome. So Wakas is asking, why does HR, if HR asks why you want this much hike, because the industry standard is 40%, how do we tackle that? Industry standard. I'm wary of that.
Well, I do know someone has an incredible salary negotiation video on YouTube that I would recommend you checking out. So maybe she can drop the link in here so you can watch it. But when you're dealing with HR, you are negotiating. And so you need to come with the data that you found. There's free sites out there where you can go and you can type in your experience, your education, your certifications, where you live, etc. And you can be able to provide that data to HR and say, based on the comps, based on other potential job descriptions, or this is what people are reaching out. I love this organization. People continue to reach out with salaries that are significantly higher. And so I started doing research, and this is what I found are the comps in this area. Much like buying houses right now, you do the data, you present it, and then in addition to the data, you also need to make sure that you come ready with the value that you've brought to your organization. Are you worth that hike? Have you provided a return on investment that is worth that 40%?
And Wakas, be careful. This is not grocery shopping and farmers market. Okay, you're not a commodity, so it's important. So I just want to add, you've probably seen the YouTube video. If you're watching on YouTube, then you've probably seen my salary negotiation video. I'm about to drop a new 2021 version of that soon. But I also want to add, Tegan, I'm sure you get this. We are not immune to this. A prospect will be interested in working with us. Huh? How much?
Mm-hmm.
But people in this area, in Belgium, in Chicago, the standard is this much. And you're charging this much. And I'm like, listen, you need to be confident to say this. Like, I totally understand, but this is not an apples to apples comparison. It's apples to oranges. And I'm the brightest, shiniest apple there is. I've said this to people and they haven't come back. It takes confidence to say that. That's okay. You got to be confident and in your own ability. It's easier to negotiate then.
Yeah, if you're confident with the value that you have to offer and have the evidence to back it up, you're golden. Or someone else will see the value.
Exactly. And maybe they weren't the right person to begin with. If they want to literally scringe and scrounge on like pennies and it's cheapening you, All right. Vigneshwaran, what are your thoughts on some companies having 3 months of notice period? Vigneshwaran, this is very common in Europe. So I don't know it doesn't matter what our thoughts are. This is the norm. And they have rules and you signed a contract. I don't know, Tegan, you want to add anything here?
My husband's actually an executive recruiter and just recruited someone. I believe she was from Italy. And when he found that out, and she's like, I'm not going to break this. I need 3 months.
It's 13 weeks in Belgium, to be precise. So that's it is what it is. But it's negotiable. Like everything, if you're hiring and your salary is negotiable, this is also negotiable. Listen, the right company also realizes you've mentally checked out if you're quitting. So they don't want you around because you could be negative for other people. So you can ask, you can figure things out, but it doesn't matter what we think it is, right? It's just
discuss it with your employer. If they're willing to let you leave early, then go for it. If not, I think the professional thing to do is to say, this is the contract that I signed and that's the situation I'm in and I can be ready to work at this date. And if they want you, they'll wait for you.
Exactly. All right, perfect. So the next question says, is it the right thing to reconsider the offer for the first organization if you get a better offer? Okay, good question, PM. We just answered it a little bit earlier with Kashish. So if you're just joining us, go back and watch the replay because you'll get a detailed answer to this question. Hi, Gandharv. Is it true that the chances of a mediocre candidate are lean? to get in, although the chances of, no, I'm not sorry, Gandhar didn't follow. Maybe you have to retype that. Hi, there's a problem which I face a lot. Never got rejected in any interview, but somehow I miss opportunities as I always get an answer that you are a backup candidate.
Oh.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah. That's a hard one.
That's too honest. Don't you think when we were talking about, that's too honest? I'm surprised recruiters say that out loud.
Yeah, I am. My recommendation would be to ask for feedback. Is there anything that you could be doing or articulating different? Sometimes it's just a matter of tweaking the words. So if you continue to be identified as a runner-up, and then say, okay, well, can you give me any advice on anything that, would make it so that I would have been the prime candidate? The market is hot right now. A lot of talented individuals were let go. And so you really need to package yourself in a way and really prepare, do the research, take the time to make sure that you practice what words are going to land the best so that your answers are as strong as possible. But I would definitely recommend asking for that feedback, because it could have been as simple as saying we instead of saying I. Something.
Yeah,
really like that.
It doesn't hurt. You say, hey, listen, I understand. Thank you so much for your honesty. And may I ask, what does it take for me to be from backup candidate to the front center, to be in the front and center? What do I need to do? Because this will help me in my future career. And I'll really appreciate 3 minutes of your time. If they're nice people, which most of us are, they'll help you out. So
yeah.
Awesome. And it's great to see everyone's interacting with each other in the comments as well. And a lot of people are agreeing. Please don't bash your current employer, no matter who you are, no matter how bad they were, no matter how ugly things got. And Jeanette in California agrees as well. All right. Okay. I got it. Is it true that the chances of a mediocre candidate are lean to get into FANG companies? Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google. What is a mediocre candidate, Gandharv? When you say, you mean not from the top business schools? I'm guessing that's what you mean in the Indian context, or, no big names on the resume. What do you think, Tegan? This is a very interesting question.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It is incredibly competitive right now. A fantastic talent was let go. I just professionally network with a lot of recruiters, and they're having, directors, VPs, senior leaders from mega organizations applying, not even having to go and source them and recruit them and entice them, actually applying online. That's unprecedented. That hasn't happened since the 2008 recession. And so it is difficult for a mediocre candidate to get in. But again, it goes back to your professional brand or your personal brand, whatever you want to call it. The way you package yourself is going to help you rise above. How polished your answers are going to take you from a mediocre candidate in terms of maybe you don't come from a big name school, maybe you don't come from big name companies. But if you can package yourself in the right way and express your skill set and what you have to offer, and all of those big name companies, in addition to having recruiters, have sourcers. Find them. Talk with them, ask them, for a virtual coffee. And if one of the sourcers is willing to vouch for you, they're likely to send your resume over to the recruiter, who will then interview you. And then, you can do the talking from there.
Yeah, exactly. Gandharv, I'm sorry. I think this question is full of assumptions. What is a mediocre candidate? Because you have the assumption that someone from a top business school is a better candidate. There is no research that someone from the top business schools is a better performer. I haven't seen it. If you've seen it, please share it in the comments. I believe what I see. There's so many examples of underdog, black sheep type candidates who got the job because they were more persistent. If you haven't heard of Austin Belsack, highly recommend you check him out. Belcack. I can't put in comments here. I'm gonna put in tag him in later. He's written like blogs and blogs on this. He's not from one of the best, top 3, top 4 schools in the US, but got into places like Twitter, Google, and Microsoft. He found his own path. I'm going to give another example. Quick shout out for my podcast. I'm going to be interviewing this guy who's super interesting. I'm going to put his name in the comments. Oh gosh, what's his name? He is so interesting, Tegan. He's made music videos which are 1 minute long on LinkedIn.
Oh,
and these
awesome.
are spoofs of songs. I lost my job. And Mamma Mia, here I go again. And he's a social media manager, and he made these 1 minute videos. And he realized nobody was watching. Then he made more. And 1st of June, he got a job. And so you've got to find ways to stand out. I don't think the school brand is enough. We said packaging, remember, at the beginning. So it comes down to how you present yourself. How hungry are you?
Mediocre and unqualified, or I'm not really sure what he means, because mediocre might mean not coming from a top tier school, and mediocre could also mean not having the experience. And again, you can get around either one of them.
Exactly. And I have, in fact, another advantage if you're not from a top business school is I think you're hungrier compared to someone who's like, they think I got it, it's in the bag. Nope. So this can definitely help you to stand out. All right. We're at the halfway mark. Can you believe it? Time's flown. Like it's already been. It's already been. No, Paula, that was terrible. I was doing, but it's great. It's great, and I want to say a quick shout out to my friend in DC, Malaika. It's great to see you. And then I see this other fabulous question, Anil. Can you suggest something for the field of sales? Is there any courses to take, or I'm working as a sales manager? Anil, I would say go to Google. Just see what is needed in sales. What does your manager want? There has to be a connection, not like you're doing courses in a vacuum. How is it helping you with where you are today? Sales is huge. B2B, B2C, enterprise. What do you think, Tegan?
Yeah, it really depends on what niche in sales you're trying to get into. And so if you can be a little more specific, but there's so many resources out there.
Best time to be alive. I swear, you got everything in 6 inches. Like you can learn anything there. This is dating me, but when I was starting out 21 years ago, this is not how we learned. So it's definitely worth it. Okay. Katrachita, I think she's in Honduras. How do you answer when HR asks, why do you want this role? What do you bring to the table? So I'll answer this very quickly already. Check out a YouTube video which I've done, Why Should We Hire You? Which has a step-by-step process. But anything else you want to add in a quick answer, Tegan?
Sell yourself. This is your opportunity to sell yourself.
Yes. Why should they hire you? What's in it for them? Right? There has to be something in it for them. Fabulous. All right. How important is internship experience for an organization during hiring? Can it be equal to a full-time role, a full-time professional? As during internship, I've worked on live projects and I have a 1-year internship experience. What do you think?
Internship experience is fantastic, especially if you're interested in leveraging it to get into that company or to transition to potentially one of their competitors. And so hopefully, you said you worked on a lot of projects, highlight that on your resume. So many people say, oh, only 1-page resume for a new grad. You can have, the standard 1-page resume, but on that second page, you can outline some of the projects you worked on. You can create a website portfolio to kind of elaborate on it more, depending on what your field is.
Yeah. Exactly. And I will definitely agree with you there. Internships are like full-time role. You were there from 9 to 5. You were getting some sort of pay. You were waking up in the morning, going to work. It means something. You're not like others who are maybe a little lazy, didn't go that route. I didn't go that route. I wasn't lazy. I just didn't get an opportunity. It didn't come up, but you're different. So I would definitely say it helps you to stand out. Awesome. We're getting a lot of interesting comments about your quarterly check-ins, which means that mine should have happened. Yeah, end of June, there should be one coming up. So guys, 30th June, put it in your calendar. What went well? What could be better? What needs to be done? It's a good idea for sure.
I like all the comments too about don't think of yourself as a mediocre candidate. And a lot of individuals who aren't privileged and did not go to elite schools, they have so much more grit. And so
hungry, exactly. Hey, Shaili.
yeah, shout out to Shelly.
No, I tier 2, tier 3 schools are, there's more resilience. They've seen more, nasty things happen in their career or in their life, and they want it more.
Yep.
So that's exactly what I was saying. They're hungrier than someone who's got the big brand. I'm not saying the one with Harvard Business School is bad, and you're from unknownschool.com is better, but it comes down to a little bit of personality as well. And these schools are great, but they can't teach you to care. If you care and you really show that you want this, they can't teach you hunger.
Yep.
So that's a good point. Good morning, Lauren. She's your friend and my friend in Chicago as well. And we have another comment from Kwan, and I want to say a shout out to Kwan. Kwan, are you in Chicago as well, if I remember correctly? This is a Chicago party going on here. I'm feeling very left out. I want to give a quick shout out because Kwan is going to be on Supercharged Fridays in 3 weeks' time. And the topic is how to get a job with no experience, because she has a fantastic story of coming from Thailand and landing a role in Deloitte through grit, determination, exactly what we talked about. And now she works with students in colleges across the country to help them do the same.
It's going to be an amazing episode.
It's going to be amazing. She's very nice. And exactly, don't think of yourself as mediocre. My students don't have full-time experience in the US, sometimes few years in India, and they didn't get a degree from top Ivy Leagues. That's not for everyone, right? Not everyone can afford, or not everyone has rich parents. They're able to earn a 6-figure salary from top tech firms, and that's exactly, and hang around and stay till hang around the next 2-3 weeks, because Kwan's going to tell us how she helps her clients to do exactly that. And our friend Ristu in Finland says, for a buyer it's the price, for the seller it's the value. It comes down to your value. What is your value? And it's much more than qualifications, experience, school, skills. It's everything. Yes, Biswajit, you can definitely check out Glassdoor.com, payscale.com, and salary.com is very US-centric, but also I would say reach out to recruiters who are either in-person recruiters or staffing, because if they're friends of yours, they'll share. Those are very up-to-date numbers. And Ujjwal is saying, what if a company is asking for 5 to 8 years experience? Can you still apply? Yes. I think yes. Why not?
I saw there was another question in the comments about women often don't apply to jobs unless they're 100% fit. And what don't they have that you can bring value to? It was, let me see these.
Yeah, got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so very similar questions.
Yeah. No, there's research that proves that we don't apply till we are 60%. And to that person, Ujjwal, 4 to, it's also a little bit random. 5 to 8, 2 to 3. We're not robots. So somebody with 5 to 8 and another person with 5 to 8 are not the same.
Yep.
You could have a 2 to 3 year with more life experience than someone with 5 to 8. So short answer, yes. What's the worst that'll happen? They won't get back to you. Doesn't matter. Move on.
Yep.
Awesome. Our friend Shravani is watching as well. Hi, Shravani. And Manisha says, how do you answer what is your current salary in India? Almost every recruiter asks. I'm going to go quickly, Manisha, because I have a very detailed video on this on my YouTube channel. I prefer to not give if you can share it. If it's not illegal, then share it. But I have a detailed video. And if you don't want to share it, or they can also ask you your salary expectations, then I have a detailed video of that on my YouTube channel. So you can definitely check it out. Our friend Naveen says, the PowerPoint concept in interview processes. What is your opinion for those that ask for? So do you mean, I'm guessing, Naveen, they want you to work on a presentation about a certain case or a project or a topic? What do you think about that, Tegan?
A lot of organizations are doing this because they want to try before they buy. They want some type of proof that you know what you're talking about, that you, and it is in certain industries especially. And so if you produce something like that before they even ask for it, you're already going to be, top of mind. But yeah, a lot of organizations are requiring it. It's something that I think that, you don't want to spend all too much time on, but, put something together that can highlight, a taste test of what you have to offer.
Yeah. Naveen, in my previous company, this was actually very normal. Just give me a second. I have to clear my throat. For product managers, we used to ask them to prepare a case. And it wasn't like we were stealing their material or anything. We wanted to see what it was like for them to speak in front of 4 strangers, because the role required a lot of public speaking. So it's not about getting it right, accuracy content wise, but also the delivery, which I would say we gave 60 to 70% marks on. And when there would be questions from the 4 of us in the audience, how did, maybe we didn't agree. How did they deal with that pressure when somebody disagrees with you? That's a great way. It's much more interesting and telling than a classic, tell me about yourself scenario. Okay. Tegan, would you be okay reading the question out? Because I think I need to clear my throat.
Absolutely. Is it okay to refuse the job offer when you got selected for the role and you kind of liked it, but the salary is not matching your worth because you deserve more, but that's the max possible salary they can offer you? Should we take it or refuse even if we like the role? So different organizations have different salary bands. If you're going to be at a nonprofit, their salary is what their salary is. And there's different organizations that work like that as well. So if you know what you need to have the quality of life that you're interested in, and money isn't always everything. And so think about the work-life balance. Can you negotiate more vacation time? Can you negotiate a bonus? I mean, I feel like I've heard similar questions on previous Supercharged Fridays.
Yeah.
Like this.
No, and it's okay to be honest. It's okay to say, thank you so much. This is very exciting, actually. And it really helps you as well, Kajal, if you have another offer. It gives you more leverage. It also makes you appear more desirable. But for sure, it's just that with everything that I've accomplished in my previous organization that I hope to bring, that I know I will bring to your company, I was expecting something more. Say that. There's also a gender trap. Be careful, because people will be like, no, nice women don't ask, particularly from my culture, where I come from and where Kajal comes from. Don't listen to that BS. Okay. You're going to be much more desirable when you put your foot down and ask for what you are worth. For sure. And good. Then we have another question about what type of companies are better for career growth, product or service. I get this a lot in my DMs. Abhiman, there is no right or wrong here. It's focus on the role. Focus on the nice meaty role. Like there's something that you're getting out of it. I'm going to go a little fast because I can't realize it. I can't believe it's 43 minutes past and we're going to be live up till the top of the hour. And I've been working outside India for the last 3 to 4 years. And now after getting back, how do I negotiate over Indian salary? I'm going to go through this quickly as well, Sachin. It's not that different. You bring in more to the table than somebody who's been in the country the whole time. You bring in more experience. You should definitely ask for a premium. I would do that, right? Tegan, you're hiring somebody in the US, but they have international experience and the role requires international. If the role also requires that, then you're even more desirable.
Absolutely.
And I want to say to Suchandra, please watch this the session I did last Friday with Niatu, because we talked about accomplishments and we talked about there is a gender aspect in accomplishments as well. Where does it say that where does it say you're 70 to 80%? Because don't forget that recruiters are also exaggerating their demands. Like no job description. I mean, if you were to find somebody matching that job description, that person doesn't exist.
Or they're going to say, oh, you're overqualified. And are you sure you want this role?
which is basically saying you're too old, right? So I think it comes down to why you think you're right. And if you're really convinced that you're right, the details on the job description, every little, I don't know, I just feel like it doesn't matter as much. And I think Malaika has some advice for you as well. You know you're a good candidate when you've researched the company ahead of time. And she also mentioned if you're 100% qualified, you're probably overqualified. That's exactly what Tegan said as well. So you got to craft the journey. It's tricky. It's tricky. But there's a way. There's a way to get it. There's a way to get it right. What's the future of the data profession?
Oh, it is booming right
Yeah.
now. And it's
Yeah.
not going away. I mean, these organizations are investing in real estate to have these big data centers, at a global scale. And so, get in where you fit in. It is booming and it is not going away. And if anything, it's going to get more complex because of the legislation that's being passed in different parts of the world.
Yeah. No, 100%. And also, Ankit, data is the new oil. And
Yep.
unlike oil, it's not going away. It's here to stay. All right. Any other question? Nandan, can you be more specific? How do you join the target organization? Maybe if you can be specific, because we don't necessarily follow that. What impression do you put on as someone having experience of 8 to 10 years, asking for? Okay, so you're saying you're somebody who's overqualified, maybe, and you're looking to get into a role where they need less experience, but because there's a pandemic, you don't have too much choice, right? So, Tegan, how would you approach that?
If you are taking a role because it's during a pandemic and your job search is suffering, they're going to see through it and it's going to be a waste of your time. If you genuinely want to make a lateral move because that is what you enjoy doing, really express that in the cover letter and make sure that comes across with sincerity in the interview process.
Yeah. If you're another, like I remember 2009, we're like, yeah, I can smell it. It's another disappointed banker. So focus on where you'd be more valued and celebrated, not tolerated. So for sure. All right. How do you get better at communication? Now, Ganesh, I'm not sure if you're speaking about English speaking skills or general workplace written and oral communications. What's your favorite tip for that, Tegan?
Practice.
Yes.
That's the only way to get better at communicating. And there are so many free courses out there, so many YouTube videos, so many organizations like Toastmasters and things of that nature to help you improve upon that. And then also consider who you spend time with. And so if you have a role model and they express themselves in a way that you find value in, spend time with them, and those habits rub off on you.
Yeah. I feel like this question is asking, how do you improve communication? I feel like this question is like asking, how do you get good at driving? Just get started. Take the little roads, then take the highway. Have fun.
Be
Be
kind
careful.
to yourself.
Be kind to
Communicating
yourself.
is, I mean, it takes practice.
Yeah, 100%. So hopefully that helps. Nobody's born an excellent communicator. We work at it, right? Okay. So I have to compensate my existing employer with 1 month salary since I have to join the new company in 2 months. And the notice period for the current company is 3 months. How do I negotiate with the new company? If they want
Easy.
you, they'll, yeah,
Tell them.
yeah, yeah.
Say
If they
say you
want
need
you,
that sign-on bonus. Otherwise,
yeah,
you need to have a 3 months notice.
yeah. And I've got comments on that salary negotiation video. People said this is great. This doesn't work in this country or that country, or sign on bonus doesn't work in this country. It does. You've got to ask. You've got to ask. If they want you, they'll find a way to make it work.
Yep.
How do you evaluate leverage of company providing to its employees? Nipun, Sorry, not
Yeah, I'm
entirely
not sure on
clear.
that one.
Not sure what that means. How does the software industry look for IC roles? I'm not sure what is IC. Maniroop, can you please clarify what's IC? Something I'm missing.
Yeah, I'm
Intellectual
not sure.
intellectual curiosity. I have no idea. um, Sometimes they ask, "What kind of leader are you?" in interviews. How do you respond to that?
I love hearing people's answer to this. I would say soul searching first, and then company research next,
Yeah,
and combine them. If
yeah,
you know what type of company culture they have, make sure that you're using their jargon, because that's going to make them feel like you're already a part of them. But put your twist on it, and stories sell. People remember stories. So if you can give an example of a time that you showcase what kind of leader you are, then briefly mention it. And so that way you can not only say what kind of leader you are, you can give an example of how you've proven you're that kind of leader.
yeah. No, exactly. That makes perfect sense. And practice this answer. Don't just say I'm going to do it and do it live for the first time in front of the interview, or practice this answer with a friend. Take a video of yourself doing it. See what you look like when you say it out loud. It's half of it is less than half of it is what you say. More than half of it is how you say it. Right. So yes, always follow up. Does following up reduce the power to negotiate? No. No. What do you think? I feel bad. Most people don't follow up.
It's etiquette. It's professionalism. And so if you don't, um, they may not respond, but they're going to remember.
Yeah. No, for sure. They may not respond simply because they're flooded. No other, honestly, no other reason. Um, Ola Delhi. What's the best answer to give potential recruiters and hiring managers if you get laid off due to performance in a previous job? Aha. Tegan, this is a tricky one. And this is where we talked about in the beginning when we talked about it. If you guys, Ola Delhi, definitely watch the replay because we talked about something called too much honesty. Tegan, how would you approach this?
As long as it was a different type of role, my recommendation would be saying, I thought I had interest in being a whatever it was, and then explain. But I found out that that is not my strength, and so I worked on it, and it just the things did not align. And so I'm no longer interested in pursuing that career path, and realize that this truly is what I excel at. And then quickly pivot to an example of where you've excelled in that area.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. And also, sometimes it's a square in a round peg. You just didn't fit. You weren't right for each other, and you can say that. And that's understood. When you say it like that, it's understood what you mean. Okay. Niatu says IC is individual contributor. Okay, okay, okay.
Oh,
Okay, okay. Let me go and see if I can find that question.
I had no idea.
Okay. How does the software industry look at people in individual contributor roles with around 20 years experience? That's a good question. And you've worked around the world. How do you sell that experience despite being an individual contributor? Okay. So Maniroop, that's interesting because you're viewing individual contributor as some sort of a liability. In a classic sense, you didn't have people with a solid line reporting to you, right? And Tegan, how would you help address this?
I think that if after 20 years of being an individual contributor, you're trying to become a leader for the first time, you want to focus on any of your informal mentorship. If you're trying to make a move up, if you're working on doing a lateral role, there's no issue. Not everyone is meant to lead others. Not everyone is interested in mentoring others. And so own it and say, I'm have mentored, people on an informal basis, but being a formal leader isn't where my interests lie.
No, 100%. And I think that You don't need people to report to you to be a leader.
Yeah.
You can be a leader in a different sense and showcase that. Everything that you've done, which helped to influence people, persuade people to do things they didn't want to do, you're a leader. They wanted to follow you, you're a leader. So it doesn't always have to mean in a classic organization structure, and showcase those examples, because that'll definitely help you to stand out, and choose at least 3 examples of that. So you come across as someone who's really solid and done their homework. Adnan Ali, can I get a role in an Indian organization in data science if I don't have any formal degree? Short answer, Adnan, yes. Go back to what we talked about before. Take examples, showcase everything you've done. Anything you want to add here? Without experience, Tegan, to get the job?
Create a website where you can talk about some of the data that you've done. Go and volunteer at a nonprofit and do some data science work for them, so you can prove that you can do this work without a formal degree.
Yeah, exactly. And I love what Malaika is saying here. Attention is the new currency. Data is the new bank. Investments are rising in data, social engineering, and using of consumer data. So there's a huge amount of potential there. And it's only going to go up. So if you want to stand out, already start investing and learning in all of those opportunities as well. So I'm going to move a little bit forward. Naveen, you're asking a very general question about learning. I would say you need a balance of what is needed and what you like. And find that balance in both, and you'll find it. We have 4 minutes to go. We have a few more questions. Let's see. Is it okay to expect a hike when you're changing your field after 3 years? Yes. We talked a lot about salary negotiation today. Definitely watch the replay. Nilanshi, you'll find it helpful. Hey, you got 2 offers. Congratulations. I'm getting a lot of these questions, which is good news. The economy has opened up. Company two is giving me a better offer than company one, but I want to join company one. Can I ask company one to reconsider the offer after I've accepted it?
That feels icky to me.
Yes.
It would make me question.
Yes.
It would make me question a lot of things.
Yeah. Then if you said yes, you got to keep your word. You can always say no and join the other one. But if you said yes, then focus instead on how you can move up. But don't ask too soon. How do I get promoted? You're just very new, and it's a very early relationship to be stepping on people's toes too soon. But personally, that's why we say spend a lot of time before you sign. Please, we always say that. In your case, you've got some options in front of you. I think you should do what feels right to you.
Mm-hmm.
Apurv. Okay, 2 minutes to go. What can you say to HR who's asking you to come to the office in another town for an interview in the middle of a pandemic? They're not ready to hear no, but you want the job. I'm hearing horror stories about this, Tegan, in every country, honestly. Awful things. What do you think?
So it depends where you're at. In India right now, for example, things are bad. And so that makes me question whether or not they're going to value your safety as an employee, where in certain places in the United States, things are opening back up with the amount of people who, have completed both rounds of vaccinations and things like that. And then they're going to think, well, if we hire you, you're going to have to come in. So we need you to come in for the interview. So I really think it's dependent on what part of the country that you're in, what is the state of the pandemic in the area that you're being asked to interview in. If you don't feel safe, then you need to articulate that.
And go with your gut, like G says. You can't go wrong with go with your gut. Honestly, run in the opposite direction. Apurv, I wouldn't. Dumb question, no such thing. What companies are actually requiring a 3-month notice?
Oh, in Europe, it's super common.
Yeah, this is very weird in the US, but it's very common here. It takes ages to replace someone, but it's unheard of in many other countries.
Yeah.
What is they ask you for the biggest failure? I think we'll end with this one, guys. I'm sorry we can't take more questions. Definitely join us next week so we can help you out. But in the meantime, how do you answer this? Your biggest failure?
I would answer it by saying something that I was really disappointed in myself in,
Yes.
and then explaining how I rebounded. So really dig deep and think, what was I just absolutely mortified by, and how have I course corrected? And since then have not allowed it to occur again.
Yeah. No, exactly. I like the disappointed, because we've all felt disappointment. And if you're able to articulate it, it shows a very high degree of self-awareness. So fantastic. I see a question on salary, Marlene. We're just finishing. So in the replay, we talked a lot about hikes and salaries, etc. So I'm sure we'll find the question in there. So please thank Tegan for being with us today. We've been live for almost, a little over an hour. Look forward to seeing everybody next week at the same time. We're going to be talking with a guy called Matt Warzel, who's so interesting. He's done movies in Hollywood. He's resume writer, career coach, recruiter, all kinds of interesting things. And I want to talk to him about Hollywood. I'm interested in that, because that is one industry where rejection is, you just take it. It's something you go through every day. So I'm interested to talk to him about it. Tegan, thank you so much for being with us today and for giving us your time early in the morning.
It was so nice to see everybody in the comments.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Take care of yourselves. Hopefully see you next Friday, and have a nice weekend. Bye.
Bye.